Living from our heart, living from our core, living from our power, we all get more. We are powerful.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Transformation Summit. I'm Sue Erda. I'm your host for this event, and I am so grateful and happy to be here. And I really am honored to be able to talk with all of these amazing authors who are the co-authors in the book, The Art and Truth of Transformation for Women. They're really extraordinary women, extraordinary individuals, and I am totally honored to do this. And I'm really excited today to talk with Nora Yolles Young. She is very interesting. I love her story in the book. I know that you'll hear a little bit about that today, and I know you'll love reading it too. So I'm going to read a brief introduction of Nora, and then we'll get started speaking with her. Nora Yolles Young holds a Bachelor of Arts in Human Origins and Prehistory from the University of Redlands Johnston Center. Nora considers her work to be both her art and her soul's purpose. Nora is a certified integrative and regression hypnotherapist and instructor, life between lives therapist, consciousness coach, and healer. In her 20s, Nora worked as a contract archaeologist in Hawaii and California. Today, she blends her understanding of consciousness and people and cultures throughout the ages with innovative and healing tools in her one-on-one and group sessions, trainings, lectures, and publications. Born and raised in Hawaii, Nora now lives with her husband and 2 children in central North Carolina. So Nora, how are you today?
Hi, Sue. I'm great. So good to be here. And I realized that I'm wearing butterflies and we're going to have, it's all about transformation.
Absolutely. Yay. Totally aligned. Who knew? That's great. Well, I love your topic that you chose for this interview today, Nora, the sovereign self, accessing your resilience hardware to navigate life gracefully. Wow, so many great words in there, and I know we're going to kind of unpack that, so I'm looking forward to that. Let's start with the actual title, the sovereign self. What does that mean, and why is it important?
The sovereign self is one of the primary cores to the work that I do. And the sovereign self is really just a fancy way of saying governed from within completely. So if we think in Hawaii, when I was a little kid, people were talking about sovereignty in Hawaii, and I always loved that term. The idea of being just governed by an entity being governed. But then when we take that and in terms of consciousness and within the self, we can be sovereign beings that utilize completely from within our own resource to draw within and to convey to the world what it is that is truly ours to share as our gift as being, just valuable human beings on the planet. And so, and I can say more about that later, but in essence, we as a culture have really trained ourselves to not value our own inner guidance. And so when you have an entire culture that is used to looking externally for guidance, the inner guidance becomes atrophied. And so what I do in my work is I help people to open access to their own inner guidance through the hypnotherapeutic process, healing old wounds, and also getting to a place where they can be present with the information that's streaming in through their consciousness and understand it and translate it in a way that is valuable for them in their lives and pivot in life as a sovereign being. So when you're a sovereign being, you look within for your first tier answers, and those answers are what help you get a sense of where it is that you feel about any particular choice or decision that's going on in your life. It could be from what you're going to eat in the morning, what you're going to put in your coffee, to big decisions about where you're going to go to school or where you're going to move to next. And then all of the opinions that are out there, and there are an infinite number of opinions, as we all know, get to be calibrated with your inner sense of what you know to be true. And then decision making can be like, it can be a data point. So external points of stimulation and opinions can be a data point to your primary data point, which is your inner truth, what you found within.
I love that you're talking about that. And you're talking about it. It's kind of interesting because some of the words that you've used, like in your title, you talk about hardware. Now you're talking about data points, right? So this is, different language for what we might be used to when we're talking about, being authentic, tapping in, all that kind of stuff. So did you do that on purpose so that we can also, our brains are kind of tapping into that?
Yeah, because I don't think it's very hard. It may seem obscure to people to refer to a biological being as a technology, but we are wired to do so much more and activate so much more with our mind-body complex. Our consciousness is streaming throughout our being, and our being is a technological marvel that is able to take this information and use it for benefit of each individual. And so I love the quote from Bruce Lipton, who talks about how the human brain versus the consciousness process information. So the conscious mind processes 40 bits of data per second, and the subconscious mind processes 40 million bits of data per second. And so we're streaming on a super fast level, on a subconscious level. And so when people are able to go into the subconscious state, they are able to start learning how to navigate, how to work with those massive amounts of data points, and we become these supercomputers. And so Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza talk about ways of managing all of that information and utilizing it through the spirit science that's out there for benefit. And I'm exactly the same way. I feel like we have the gadgetry that we're seeking externally, the phones and the computers and all the high-tech equipment that's out there that we have to have as it comes out. We actually have the capacity to do all of that stuff within, and it's going to be different, of course, but we are so much more high-tech than we know, and the infrastructure that we can build through working with our consciousness really activates that, so that our subconscious mind and all that's flowing through can actually become a part of our conscious daily active lifestyle.
I love it. I love it. So you're talking about human consciousness, and you work with your own human consciousness all the time. Obviously, you got tapped in. I want more of what you have because I feel tapped in at times, but not always. So I like that. But so how has working with your own human consciousness and human consciousness of others and helping them, how has that informed your work?
Well, it's informed my work by just seeing how different people work with consciousness differently. And so it's not a one size fits all proposition. So I love in my practice that I can work with individuals and help them access, hold space for them to access, guide them to points where maybe when they first come in, they don't have any sense of their capacity, their unlimited potential as a human being. And over time, we get to unfold this magnificence within them where they are acknowledging that their potential has been broadened to a much higher level of capacity. And part of my work is to utilize all of those different points with different people and to come up with stuff that is useful for larger groups of people, because I want this information out here. I think humanity is ready for an evolutionary jump. I feel like we are sort of looping back in currently in our state into old patterns of belief that are keeping us really limited in our potential as an entire collective. And I'm really excited to get more of this work out there, because I think I'm ready to join with other people like you, Sue, and the wonderful women in this book to move beyond, to be into the space of discovering what we're ready for next.
Yeah, and I think it's the perfect timing, right? Because look at what's going on in our world, not just this year, which is obviously a very unique time for all of us, but it's been happening for quite some time. And this is maybe this is a culmination, maybe this is another new, big, broader opening for us. The expansion is available to us. So it's like, yeah, let's do this together because we can do that. So I love the work that you are doing with this to help us all get in that space collectively to have the world and lives that we want. So that's so cool.
Well, and
Oh,
I want to just quickly say something about that. I think that's a really good point that you bring up, Sue, is that maybe what seems so terrible going on right now with COVID and the lockdown is really just a huge opportunity for us to expand into something brand new. So I'm really glad that you brought that up.
yeah, I agree with you. That's what I keep saying. That's maybe my conscious mind making sense of it, is saying, hey, this is what makes sense to me about this, because otherwise I can't wrap my head around it all. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
It's a useful tool. I think it's a great optimistic way of framing it.
Yeah, terrific. So let's talk a little bit more about this, that getting more into our sovereign self, right? How do people know that? How can they get tapped in, know that they're being authentic, know that they're relying on their own instincts, their own inner guidance, and know that they are on the right path for them?
That's such a good question. And I think a lot of people really are confused about what is really authentic to themselves. And when people don't have a sense of what's authentic for them, I help them to start right in the very beginning with really small bite-sized steps. And you can start to tune into what is true for you by starting to feel in your body your yeses and your nos. Alan Cohen, I think, had the quote of, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. That's a very simple way of feeling into something. So start with really small, easy things like, do I want to get up now that the alarm is going off? Or do I really want to hit the snooze button? Just feel what's really true for you. And that would be a yes or a no. And just start to feel in your body when you're doing something. Do I want a third cup of coffee? Yes or no. And just start calibrating to tuning into the yeses and nos and honoring them. Do that without judgment. So this is a judgment-free zone when you are just wanting to genuinely hear what your authentic truth is. Really allow yourself to hear it. Even if your conscious mind is saying, oh, well, you shouldn't feel that way. Let the conscious mind have its opinion. You're really just feeling into your gut, into your heart, into your being. And when you know there's a big yes, catch yourself in the act. Catch yourself in the act of like, oh, yay, I'm really wanting to do this thing. Notice what that feels like in your body, where you feel it in your body, and really just acknowledge that that is a yes coming through for you. Or if a really strong no is coming through, oh, wow, that was a huge no. Like, I feel it everywhere in my body. I feel my body language changing. I feel everything just shifting. So honoring that as a no, and you'll start to notice that insight coming in earlier and earlier so that you can start again with the data points, understanding that when you get a yes, it's just going to start to become more natural. That's a yes for me. This is a no. And once you start to build the infrastructure of your life around your yeses and nos, authenticity starts to just drop in.
Yeah, cool. That's so beautiful and that's so true. But we weren't taught that way, right? We were taught how to like weigh things. These are the good points, these are the bad points. If you have more good points, you do it. If you have more bad points, you don't do it. Like all that stuff. So that's using our thinking mind instead of that, that our heart space or whatever, our sovereign self, right? So how can we, if somebody's saying, hey, this is a whole new thing for me, how do I unlearn that? And how do I do what you're talking about? What's a quick way to get, I'll say a quick way, but to get started?
Well, a really quick way is to just acknowledge the different voices that you have going on. So there's the sovereign self that wants to be heard. And so you'll get that voice. But if you have the inner critic, chatting in your ear about that's not the way we're supposed to do it, acknowledge that. Don't try to surgically remove or shun or shame that side, because that's a part of you too. By starting to soften, and I write a little bit about this in that chapter, it is that is starting to soften our shadow, because by shaming aspects of ourselves that we don't like, we start to create a broader shadow and compartmentalize ourselves from other aspects. And we want to be whole and transparent to ourselves. We want to know ourselves. And that wasn't that quick, but acknowledgement is the simple way of putting it. Acknowledge all of the aspects of yourself. Those aspects are really there to show you more information about yourself, and they're under the impression that they're helping. And so if you need help shifting that, call me or call someone who knows how to do this work.
Yeah, well, it's so important. Like you said, we are holistic beings, and accepting all of ourself, all of it is really, really important. And it's for people that have kind of shunned that dark side, if you'll call it that. Some people call it the dark side, right? But it's the shadow self, and I agree with that. And it's tough though for some people, to change that. I'm 60 years old, and I know I just started to really basically acknowledge that maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and still new stuff comes up, right? It doesn't stop. We're just evolutionary beings. And Nora, you're so passionate about this work. I love that it just comes right through. Why are you so passionate about this?
Well, I was born to do this work. I started having spiritual connection and experiences when I was about 5 years old, and fitting in was not typically a very easy thing for me. I didn't fit in naturally. And so at a very early age, I had to find my own path. And archaeology was kind of my way of trying to get closer to this space of wanting to understand consciousness and spirit. And I didn't know how to quite do it. So I thought that digging in the dirt and digging up old artifacts and human remains and bones and stuff would help me understand how human beings are on a deeper level. But really what needed to happen was that I needed to get connected with consciousness through this work. And so I started doing energy healing, and then became a hypnotherapist. And so I can't not be who I am. I'm 100% here to really potentiate my own potential, to exponentially raise the vibration of the planet in whatever way that I can, but also to join in community with people who are ready to live in a new experience of human life, where we're out of the war paradigm and we're entering into a place of supportive, exponential growth and development. And I think there's so much fun to be had. And I feel I'm really bored by the dramas that are continually playing out from a negative point of view. I feel like we have so much more to explore and so much delicious juiciness to dive into. And so I'm ready to play with those co-creators. I'm ready to play with people who are ready to get serious about having some fun.
I love it. I love it. And it's funny because that's right. Yes, we're going to be working on ourselves, right? And yet it's fun. And so it's about that. People say that, oh yeah, I'm playing with this today, even though, somebody might say I'm working with this today. It's that attitude adjustment that we need to do, right?
Yeah. Well, I think too, in my work, I see over and over again, people accessing their soul wisdom and the reminder that they wanted to be here. They wanted to come here. When you're a non-physical being and you're in the realm of energy, you don't have a body to dance with and eat delicious food with and make love with and exercise with. You are energy. And so you can move in and out of ways of expressing, but that's why we want to be here. And from what I've experienced, we didn't come here to have an easy experience. We came here to have a gritty, get into it experience.
Awesome. I love that. Get into it experience. That's what I'm going to start saying from now on. So I like that very much. Nora, this has been great. I so appreciate you. Like I said, I love your story in the book. It's very different than any of the others in the book. And I think that your experiences that you share are very unique, and people will be able to relate to them. And I think, people will want to be in touch with you. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate you being a part of this whole project. Maybe you could tell everybody, why did you decide to be a part of this book project in the first place?
Oh, well, thanks, Sue. That was really sweet. I love to hear that. I want to be accessible to people. And I think that's part of why I wanted to write this. That I'm in a place in my life where I'm ready to communicate more about what it is that I'm here to do. And this was an incredible opportunity that it was a huge inner hell yes for me. And it's been a wonderful journey, huge opportunities coming from it. And again, Powerful You Publishing is making it easier for me to be accessible to you, because I don't want this work to be obscure. We're all in this together. And so for people who resonate with this, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Awesome. So Nora, I know that there are people that are resonating with you right now and they want more of you. So I know you have a gift for us. Can you tell us where we can find more about you and also what your gift is and how we can receive that?
Sure. So I have a website, younghypnotherapy.com. And on that website, up at the top tabs, I have a free offer for all of you who are purchasing our book, to go ahead and click on that. And it's a download of a body scan visualization that I have recorded. And it's there to help you start to embody on a deeper level that wiring that helps super connect you to your super, soul mind and have that deeper access that we've been talking about. So I hope you enjoy it. And it's an honor for me to offer you this gift.
Awesome. Sounds like a wonderful gift. I am definitely doing a body scan. Thank you so much for that. And
Yay.
Listeners, and Nora, by the way, thank you so much for being a part of this. I appreciate you. I appreciate the story. I appreciate everything you shared today. You're like a beautiful human being, and I'm so happy I'm in this collective with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Likewise, Sue. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. And listeners, thank you. Thank you for being here for yourself, giving yourself this time to listen to these amazing authors, to take into your life the beautiful practices and information that they're sharing with you, because they're doing it for you. So you can have more peace, ease, joy, love, all the good stuff that you want in your life, and to recognize how you can help yourself, how you can become your sovereign self and do that. So thank you so much for being a part of this. Be sure to buy this book, The Art and Truth of Transformation for Women, on launch day, which is October 20th. The book website is transformation-book.com. When you go there on launch day, we will guide you to Amazon to buy the book. Also then bring your receipt number back from Amazon, type it in, and you will have access to more than 35 gifts from our partners and authors. And boy, are these awesome gifts. You will love them. So you'll have these wonderful stories, 20 wonderful stories in the book, plus more than 35 gifts from our partners and authors. So just go for it. You're going to love it. Download one, download all of them, reach out to them. You will just love all of it. So thank you all so much for being here. And thank you for giving yourself the beautiful life that you deserve. And bye, everybody. Have a great day.